Today on Free Field Training, we are taking a look at ASP handcuffs, but not these old ASP handcuffs. We are going to talk about these brand new ASP handcuffs, and we're going to use these old ones as a comparison with the new ones. Maybe you have experience with the old ASP handcuffs. I have experience with these old ASP handcuffs, and honestly, I wasn't too impressed with them back in the day, and I've said so on several videos. Here's one of them up here, or maybe a link down below. I didn't like these because not the features that they had. The double-sided keyholes didn't bother me any. I actually kind of like that. The flat bows on them to make them easier to apply to people's wrists, I really like that. The larger and smaller diameters than traditional cuffs so that they more easily fit on more people, I loved all of that. And the fact that their operation, even after 10 years, is still slick as snot was always awesome. The problem I had with these was there's a flat steel subframe inside. And because the inside was a flat steel subframe and then they molded polymer over the top of it to smooth out the edges, there was a significant amount of flex in the bows. And so if you put these on somebody's wrist and they decided they didn't want them on while you were putting them on, they would easily go off track, like yonder. It didn't matter which way they pulled, they pretty much always came off track like that. So for everyday normal police work, most people didn't have that problem. But the first time you had to fight someone into cuffs, which we're not supposed to do, but everybody does, because the real world is not training, these things would end up screwing up on you. Now ASP sent me a new pair of their cuffs, their brand newest pair. I guess I made much of a stink about these old ones and how much I didn't like them. They wanted me to try out the new ones, and I used them for a solid 6 months. You've seen these already in my new duty belt videos where I was using them on the street every day, fighting with people with these, handcuffing people with these, using them for all sorts of things, handcuffing people to walls, handcuffing people to the cots on ambulances. More on the things I learned about them from those later on. And then I posted up on my Instagram for all of you to ask me questions about these cuffs, about a comparison between them and what you want to know about them. And I'm going to try to cover most of the questions people had over on Instagram in this video. Go follow me over on Instagram, Tommy_Free Field Training, if you want to be part of the conversation like this in the future. The big question that came up with people was, do they still have that problem where the cuffs would sling over to one side if you were fighting with someone? And the answer to that is no. I have put these on many people in the last year, and I have not one time had them come over to the side, and that is because these are metal now. You can't get enough over on these. They do not flex enough in order to lose the track. You can push them very hard and get them to stop on the edge of the cuff body, but it is not going to swing all the way outside the cuff body anymore. The metal has positives and negatives. Let's talk about that right now. These are sized almost identically. If they were both hinged cuffs, I'm betting they would be right on the money identical. But they are not right on the money identical on one important aspect, and that is their weight. So here are our old handcuffs, 130 some odd grams. Here are our more traditional set of steel cuffs. And here is a new set of the ASP steel cuffs. As you can see, these have gotten a little chunkier over the years. There used to be a slight advantage in ASP handcuffs over traditional cuffs in weight, and not so much anymore. That is, of course, for these forged steel cuffs. I have heard that the aluminum ones are significantly lighter even than traditional cuffs, but I don't have any direct experience with the aluminum ones as of yet. They still do use the traditional handcuff key, so a universal handcuff key works with ASP handcuffs as they come most of the time from police supply warehouses and all of your police supply and uniform stores. The insides of these are a big change though. You can now pull the insides out for servicing. This means that no longer are you stuck with a set of handcuffs and then you have to pay for a whole new set of cuffs if you start having hinky problems with the lock set inside of the cuff mechanism. Nowadays, you can just pull the lock set out. If you want to see this slower, you can check out my YouTube short, Inside Police Handcuffs. But the lock mechanism pulls out fairly easily with a little pin punch, and you can change out just this lock set. Now this is good for maintenance. I can get in here and clean this out a lot more effectively than I could clean out the insides of something that is pinned and welded and riveted together. It also means that I can change this out if I start having problems with it, and I can change the security level of the lock set after I've bought the cuffs. So I can buy these cuffs and be working corrections and have the corrections lock set inside with the different, more complex flag on the handcuff key. And then if I go to the street or I go to a situation where I have to be able to have one cuff key to do them all, let's say I'm going to intake and I want to be able to use my cuffs and the cuffs officers are coming in and using all at the same time, or if I'm going to the street, I can switch out to this yellow mechanism, and of course they're all color-coded, and go back to a more traditional flag on the cuff keys. So that's a big advantage for these, is that they are user serviceable. There's also a disadvantage with that we'll get to here in a second. The other major advantage of these new Ultra Cuffs from ASP is the double locking mechanism. For many years, lots of companies have tried to perfect double locking mechanisms. This is always also one of the downsides to ASP Ultra Cuffs from the old ones. The double locking mechanisms on the old cuffs, on most of your traditional cuffs, either have a push button on the side or a slider on the side of the handcuff that you need the end of the handcuff key in order to double lock the cuffs. Double locking is important because it keeps the cuffs from tightening on the person who's in custody. So I'll show you on the old cuffs, you apply these to your person, you check for fit, and get a digit in there, and then you double lock the cuffs by taking the end of the handcuff key, putting it in, sliding them over, and now the cuffs can't get any tighter. This is very important for safety and for liability. The new cuffs and the old cuffs, of course, they can be undouble locked and released all with one turn in one direction of the key, which is another big advantage of the old ASP handcuffs that carries on to the new ones. The new ASP handcuffs do not require a tool to double lock. So with these, you apply them to the person, you check for fit, and then you push the button on the side of the cuffs. No need for a tool, no need for a little thing or a twig or using the end of a ballpoint pen to push a special little rod in to double lock the cuffs. The cuffs are now double locked. I have had no problems with this mechanism double locking when I don't want it to, which was my huge concern when I first saw these. I was like, oh, I'm gonna gorilla grip these things and it's gonna double lock on me. Go try these at a local police supply and you will see that they will not double lock no matter how much you ham fist them. The release is absolutely the same. And there's nothing really new to learn. There's no new tools. The pouches still fit, so if you have old ASP handcuffs, you can put the new ASP handcuffs in the old pouches as long as it's made for the same variety of ASP cuffs. Their new pouches, though, are a whole lot better. The old ones were very, very large. They've gone through several iterations. My favorite ones for these now are this polymer handcuff pouch that has a little pop clip on it that makes it really easy to get the cuffs in and out and keep them from collecting mud and mush and nastiness inside the cuff pouch. I really enjoy those. They're a lot slimmer and a lot easier to carry on the belt with these cuffs. It makes it about as easy to carry a full-size pair of steel ASP handcuffs that are hinged as it was to carry my old, more traditional set of handcuffs in a normal pouch. Of course, being free field training, we are going to talk about the major downsides for these cuffs. They are, although they are about the same weight as traditional handcuffs, they are larger. Part of that is they have to be larger in order to fit the larger size wrists that they are designed for. Let's see if I can get that on film for you. They're a little bigger in all dimensions, so they will attach onto both larger and smaller wrists than your more traditional cuffs generally will. They are also thicker, so pouches for traditional handcuffs will not fit ASP handcuffs inside of them, unless of course you're using a strap on your belt, which I know lots of people do if they want to go back and forth between things. You can get just a loop basically of leather that has a snap on it that allows you to attach pretty much any handcuffs you have to that. That keeps them really low profile and sits them below the line of your belt. The problem with them though is They do this all day, which is slightly obnoxious and why I don't use them. The major disadvantage that I found in these, in at least 6 months of using them on the road pretty extensively, is one time I handcuffed a guy to a solid object and he basically deadlifted off of that object with the cuffs attached, one cuff attached to the object and the other cuff attached to his wrist. He was able to put enough torque on these, I think he was torquing sideways, that he actually got the little double lock mechanism. I can't even pull it out with my fingers. He got this little double lock mechanism tab to pop out. So I'm watching him do this thing, and he's pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and I'm kind of chuckling because there's no way you can put enough force on your wrist to break steel cuffs. But this little thing popped out, fell on the ground. And that is the one problem that I had with these. Now, if you look at this little clip, you'll see that it is just a piece of plastic with a little tooth on one end that allows it to clip into the double lock mechanism on the cuff. This costs approximately 0 cents. And I was able to pick this up off the ground when he got done exhausting himself, and then we just popped that bad boy right back into the handcuff, and it worked just fine again. So that's the only downside that I have found for these so far. The size of them needing a special pouch, although I have a special pouch that I like now that's about the same size, and the double lock tab managed to pop out under pretty extreme circumstances that I don't imagine a lot of people are going to find themselves in on a regular basis, and the repair for it was free and very, very easy. So being user serviceable, still a positive for me overall with these cuffs. Now, rumor has it that this little guy is going to become an integral piece of this doohickey on the next revision of the internals of these cuffs. So by the time you watch this video, there's a good chance that that's not even going to be an issue anymore. So that is ASP Handcuffs, the old and the new. They come in all of the same varieties that they used to come in. There is a chain variety, a hinged variety, and then there's like a locking rigid cuff, which unfortunately I don't have an example of here, but I have used when I went to a handcuffing instructor class with a guy that was from corrections. The SORT team around here loves the locking rigid cuffs, and I need to get myself a pair of those sometime in the very near future. Maybe bring you guys a video about those. There is a link down in the description for these new Ultra cuffs. In the interest of full disclosure, if you use that link, I make a little bit of money. However, there is also a link for other pairs of handcuffs down there. If you use those links, I also make a little bit of money. So what I want is for you to, if you're watching this video and you're looking for what handcuffs are going to work best for you, pick the ones that are going to work best from you, from all the videos, and if you use those links down in the description, no matter which one you use, you help me out a whole lot. Until next week, you guys be safe, take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching Free Field Training on YouTube, and while you're here, why don't you check out some of these other goofy videos that I've made, or you could subscribe, or maybe go over to Patreon and see how you get your name put on the videos, like these fine folks over here. All the links are, of course, down in the description. We'll see you guys next time.